Mobile is changing everything? Is that true?
I believe so.
Okay.
Who in this room does not have a mobile device?
That's amazing.
So, you know what's interesting is when you look at mobile and just the open rates of a text message is 95%, 85% of it is fully read within 5 minutes. So you can't ignore this channel from a communication standpoint. And that does not mean, and I'm certainly not an advocate, that you replace the other communication techniques. You need to use all the verticals. You need to use snail mail. You need to use email. You need to use phone calls. You need to have web communication, but also text. So it's an integrative tool that's really, really effective. From a global standpoint, what's interesting is right now here in the United States, most of our communication through SMS text messaging is limited into the United States. But you're going to find soon that those kinds of programs will allow you to start to text anywhere in the world. In fact, T-Mobile is just beginning a program like that. So you'll find that you can communicate anywhere. But what's interesting from an event/fundraising standpoint is that if you raise money to drill a well in Africa, let's say, what's great now is that someone with their mobile device at that event can videotape it and upload it quickly and then send it out to their entire mobile list and say, look, thank you for your recent gift at that gala. We told you that it was going to help this village with fresh water. Look what just happened.
So when is mobile going to be global? This is the next frontier, right?
It is. Well, in fact, it's global right now, but what's missing is that last mile. And so mobile truly is global right now. And that last mile that I'm referring to is the connection where you and I could text somebody in Africa. And that's going to happen here in the next few years. But
I use this sort of like very gross example of capturing mobile now.
Right.
But tell us about why you think that that you should be sort of really diligent about this.
Well, a quick story. One of my first capital campaigns was at Pepperdine University many years ago. And I remember being a younger guy without gray hair, sitting in a room with the president and the chairman of the board and others planning the case study. And, you know, I said, gee, you know, shouldn't we have email addresses? And they said, oh, no, that's just corporate communication. 2 years later, we were trying to capture email addresses. We're at that point right now with mobile numbers. My friends move from New York or Florida or Kansas City or wherever, they keep that number with them. It's the closest thing to your social security number that you're going to keep for your lifetime. And the fact of the matter is that 40% of individuals 29 and under don't even have a landline anymore. So start collecting these mobile numbers. It's really, really critical to do that because you don't want to be behind the curve. Yes, I speak a lot on the subject of earning the right to communicate. You know, I don't know about you, and I'm a mobile guy. I developed a mobile solutions company, a technology company. I get ticked off when I get a text from somebody I don't know. That's invading my privacy. If I haven't given them permission, I really don't like that. So I really think it's important, regardless whether it's nonprofit or for your clients, make sure you get their permission. Because what we have found is that when you do get that permission, even if you haven't communicated with them for a year, the opt-out rate, like stop sending me information where they can choose to opt out, is under 1%. So if you treat them properly, and if you ask questions, and if you solicit their feedback, you're going to have considerable license to use texting. But test, the 3 T's. I really think it's important, and it's affordable. I mean, it's really affordable to do a test with mobile. So grab a half a dozen people or a dozen people in the particular sector of your list that you want to test their responsiveness to a mobile communication. You can ask them to join your mobile list via the traditional communications. And then once you have them, start a dialogue with just a few before you blow it out to the entire audience.
What has worked the best of all the things you've ever tested?
Contests. Across the board, contests have worked.
How do they work?
And so what happens is through traditional communication, there's a call to action to join a mobile list so you can stay current, et cetera, but we're going to give away X amount of iPads or a t-shirt or something like that. And you'd be surprised How many people jump in there because they want to have it? One, they apparently like you enough that they're willing to give you their cell number, but two, they're now willing to actually act because they have a chance to win something. It's back to the gamification that we were talking about. So when you can make it fun, it really does work. Some people...
What has bombed? So we know not to do it.
Yeah, when people don't test and they build a list and they haven't made it really clear to those people that they've joined a mobile list. So if you've had someone who attended an event and they register out there at the table before they come in and you've asked them for their cell number and you haven't communicated with them like right away, within a few days, that starts to get cold. And then if you wait a few months, your response rate and all that really starts to drop. So it's really about, in development work, it's about cultivating a relationship. Because this is such a personal tool, think of it as one-on-one communication. Even though you may be texting hundreds or thousands of people, it's very, very personal.
So, okay, so I've got everybody's telephone numbers. What am I going to tell them when they leave this event to get them to, what's the ask?
To get them to join?
Yeah.
So I'd have a contest.
Or maybe you say the contest is the way that happens right away.
Yeah, I would do a contest right away, or you could even do it live now. I've done this at events where we would show the responses up here, where you can actually text in a particular keyword to a short code because you want to join a list, and then you could send a message like, I love this about it, or I didn't care about that, or I love the food, or I didn't. Just make it fun and say, hey, we're going to have a drawing and win. So you can do that live, or certainly after the event, send out a communication and ask them to join the list. Once they do, though, communicate something interesting, not just 140 characters. Yes, that's good, but send a video. Nowadays, it isn't just 140 characters. You can attach a PDF. When I speak, and I have a presentation like this, whether it's Prezi or the old ones, PowerPoint, I tell people text a particular keyword to a short code and they get it on their phone. They can see pages and pages and pages of that. Video, you can, from your phone, make a video if you wanted to, or do something a little bit nicer and edited and push that out via your text.
But live event, I mean, it's interesting that whenever social media is always at its height at the actual live event, I would assume that there'll be eventually really strong pitches for cell numbers with permission, being very transparent.
Right.
So that if you're at a cause and you want to have everyone collect and get together, the best time is right at this event. Like, you're now all would probably want to give me all your email, your text, your telephone numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, it's unfortunate that we haven't had enough time to talk about this, but we could have done that very thing for you. We could have said, hey, so just try it. We're not going to abuse it. You can opt out. All you have to do is reply stop. Send our keyword to a short code and reply stop, and you won't get any more communication. But you will have the highest response rate at the event, absolutely. I have a lot of people say again, well, what do you mean by test, Doug? I don't even have mobile numbers. We haven't been collecting them. Well, start with your staff. Start with some friends. Start with some volunteers. I've had clients who I've said, look, what's the size of your board? I have 6 people on the board. Let's start right there. You can get really good feedback from people who know you well. But then start to segment it. What about the people who don't know you so well? What about a new volunteer versus a volunteer that's been with you a long time? Again, do this testing and remember to segment people in the same way you do when you do deeper analysis of wealth indicators when you're trying to determine what the potential is for somebody to make.
Okay, so I'm sitting here in the audience and I think, that's a great idea. I'd love to try that. How do you do it? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, well, good question. And so I don't mean for it to be an advertisement, but you need to find a provider like MobileCause.
And there's a lot of them.
There's several out there. There's only 3 in the country who are licensed by all the carriers.
And what does that mean, licensed by all the carriers?
That means that we have the ability to use their system to communicate via text and also raise money through their platform to where it shows up on their mobile phone bill. There's only 3 companies that do that right now. It's MobileCause, it's the MGF Foundation, and then it's also MGive Foundation. So those are really the 3.
And how much does the phone company take?
Nothing.
And how do they make money? Being the skeptical.
Yeah, this is really part of their corporate social responsibility.
Really?
Now, eventually, if you don't have one of those texting plans that cover as much as you want to do for a month, they'll make money off the SMS
that's
texting.
how they make money. Okay.
But they also do charge me. They have a person called an aggregator in between, and they charge us
Okay.
for that. So one of the points I'd like to make is most of you have probably heard of, like even right now with the tragedy in the Philippines, make a donation, it's $5 or $10. So we developed the option to make a donation of any size, and it's based on a credit card. So you make a pledge and it ends up on your credit card. And peer solicitation, as you alluded to earlier, from an Eventbrite standpoint, when you know your friend's going to something, that is huge. We're seeing a response rate just in millennials. The response rate of people who are willing to attend an event or make a donation when they're asked by their friend is over 64%.